please welcome to the stage and a warm round of applause to David Crumley.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it. You know, when Sir Richard was sitting here yesterday, this place was a little more full than it is today. You guys weren't too excited, were you? So, really excited to be here with you guys today and talk about our journey. I only have a little bit of time, so I can't give you all of it, so I'm going to try to hit a few highlights. So, first of all, just about us, we're Coca-Cola Enterprises. We're a bottler of Coca-Cola in Europe and have been doing for several years. I don't think I need to tell you about our products. You probably all had a few. I hope you have a few more of those. So let's go on and get on with it. If we can go on to the next slide, please. Any good presentation is supposed to start out with a good inspirational quote. I found this one out on the internet, so if it's on the internet, it has to be true, right? And so it's quite insightful, especially from somebody who died 50, 60 years ago. But in reality, consumer technology has made all our lives more difficult. And you think not too many years ago, HR technology could really suck, but nobody knew any better. Now you've got Facebook, Amazon, all this great technology, iPhones, everything. People know better, and people keep expecting more and expecting you to be better. And so it keeps this kind of ever-changing bar being raised that we always have to keep living up to, which frankly means to satisfy employees, managers, leadership, and to really make sure we're enabling our companies to succeed. We have to keep doing better. Next slide. So our mission that we set out, and it's evolved over the years since 2009, is this. And so basically the purpose for a team like mine is shape and deliver excellent HR customer experiences through innovative technology and making sure that our simple processes out there can help us get the right information and insights out there to the business so we can sell more bottles of Coke. It's simple as that. And so we started out with a structure back then where it was basically just an IT shop who had IT development and deployment resources. And then if we click forward, we started in HR to realize that if we were really going to go on this journey and go for a great customer experience and enable our employees to thrive, we were going to have to get a more functional side of HR technology. So we added a application support solutions kind of group that managed all of our new technology coming out. Reporting and analytics, we knew we needed to take advantage of that piece. And then we knew process, though, was coming into this. So we had to, if you click to the next, had some Lean Six Sigma into it, because once you transform HR and start to go into a centralized model and start to use global processes to take care of your employee base, the processes have to keep evolving, and we needed that kind of process control. So we put that group in, and then the last click you'll see, we brought this all in together into one. Click, there we go. Brought this all into one group end to end, which is our team now. So anything from coding, configuring, to reporting, to supporting our systems on the back end and delivering everything all under one roof, one budget, one capital expenditure budget, one operational expense budget, one throat to choke right here. So next up. So this is kind of what we looked like in 2009, the big clunky mainframe server out there with our SAP instance, with our payroll and core HR data and interfaces. So basically we had enough technology out there to where we could get people paid. That's where we started. And then if you click next, then it started evolving from 2009, 10, 11, 12, where we started hitting all the things that most of you guys have done as well, started kind of catching up, performance, compensation, recruiting, learning management, incentive technology, video interviewing's even come about, cloud-based timekeeping, mobile capabilities. We came up with a way to put our offerings out there via mobile, which was absolutely key and to meet the demand of our employee base. So if you go next, that's where we were when we had an inflection point and said, we need to change things. And a lot of folks will look at that model we had where we've got mobile capabilities, we got automation. Literally every core process in HR that we do was automated. And, and we had metrics galore. I mean, we're doing 20,000 reports a year for folks. We've got dashboards. We've got all kinds of information. And we've got adherence to our key processes. We know that all of our employees do a performance review. We know that 90-some% have a career development plan that's documented and acted on. So we had all this adherence. We had visibility. We had accessibility. So why change it? And the reason is because adherence doesn't necessarily mean that it's effective, that we're getting something out of it. And automation doesn't mean it's simple, right? And lots of measurements doesn't mean that there's actually value being extracted out from it, from insights. And frankly, as I mentioned at the very beginning, the bar keeps raising. The bar keeps going up on expectations of how we have to be able to equip our workforce. And I have an extremely picky CHRO, and her expectations are high, and I was not fully meeting all of those. And she sits 20 meters away from my office and comes down all the time. So you put all those things together, we needed to refresh. So for us, we don't have that option to just go hire more people to help us try and tackle some of that remaining stuff up top. We know we needed to shift our focus. And this was the goal of this refresh, is we wanted to do three things, basically. For 80% of our efforts, we wanted to spend on modernizing the user experience in a continual manner to keep up with the trend. Secondly, we wanted to truly exploit our data, not just run metrics, and not just talk about the great things that analytics can do, but really exploit it and find value and equip people with the few pieces of data that they actually need to make good decisions. And lastly, drive the evolution of HR. And what I mean by that is, over the years, I've worked in IT and HR for several years, and we've always kind of had this concept that technology is an enabler. So we need to hear what your strategy is. What are you trying to do? Then we'll put technology behind it and help you do it. But I think it's different now. I think we're actually driving the strategy. I think we're coming up with the art of the possible in our technology functions now. And we are a part of driving that strategy. We're not waiting for a process and a vision to be defined and just do that. When it comes to these HR practitioners and folks in these centers of expertise that you have in your company, we can be that strategy because of what tools can now do. And we're bringing that art of the possible to the table with all the new stuff we're learning about up here and what we hear about each other doing out there. We can bring that, and that's the big third component we wanted to hit. And you'll see in the middle, team leaders. We believe that we're going to live or die by how effective our team leaders are. And so in a company like ours, that probably is only about 15 to 20% of our total employee population are the actual team leaders. But we believe they are what makes or breaks us. And so it doesn't mean that we're not focused on all employees. We are. They're all important, and they all benefit from user experience focused data and evolution of the function. But our main focus, though, is on the team leaders, because we feel if we get that right, the rest is going to fall into place. And that hasn't been our process before, but that's what we believe today. Go on to the next slide. So, to do this kind of refresh and to change our focus, we looked at what we were doing today, and for those three components that I mentioned, we were only doing at best 20% of that, because we have so much work. Even though we'd moved most of our processes to these SaaS cloud modules out there, we still had that mainframe for our core data and our payroll. So what it meant is 80% of our time was still spent doing these kind of operational rhythms of care and feeding for the system, that you see there below. And I equate it to the iceberg, because, the iceberg, you just see that little 20% sticking above the water, and then the mass below. People see those things that we do to help with the data, with the experience. That's the stuff that they ask for and see that we do and appreciate. Nobody is up high-fiving us when we do a great upgrade or put in a great service pack on our ERP or keep the system running when it goes bump at night and it's back to status quo the next morning. Nobody thanks us for that. They thank us for what's above the line and for what they can see. So why am I spending 80% of my time and resources and efforts doing the things that frankly nobody is seeing and nobody appreciates, and frankly is not perceived value, and perceived value is value. So our solution to how do we flip the iceberg and change this was what we called Project Cumulus, like Cumulus, a cloud, sending HR to the cloud. And so basically the remit of this was move SAP Core HR from our on-premise SAP instance to SuccessFactors Employee Central. SAP Payroll from our on-premise SAP instance to ADP Global View. And lastly, all of our interfaces that we were hosting on-premise to Dell Boomi, cloud-to-cloud integration, and doing this all at once. If you move on. I ran with the Bulls in Pamplona back in 2010, and I remember standing in the streets, and you hear the fireworks go off, and you hear the noise starting to come your way, and of course, what did I feel when I heard all that was, holy shit, what was I thinking? And then, of course, though, the Bulls start to come, and you get wrapped up in it, and you just take off running, and adrenaline takes over, and you do find yourself with the grins and the just excitement and adrenaline of it. But if you hit one more click, there. See that guy right there? That's kind of how I've been throughout this project quite a bit, because every day is a new challenge when you're taking all this and uprooting what was years built in an on-premise system and thrown into it. But there is also the adrenaline rush, and there also is that feeling you get at the end from doing a major project. But I'm not going to lie to you, it's about just like that. Click next. Just to give you some insights, because I know a lot of you guys are thinking about this. A lot of you are sitting in these booths up here talking to these different partners, the Workdays, Oracle, SAP, SuccessFactors, all these folks that have great products up there. But I just wanted to give you a few insights to keep in mind. And, it may not be those things that the guys that are selling stuff to you tell you, but I'm going to go ahead and just give you a few things to think about. So if you click next. The core HR cloud products are still in their infancy. I don't care when people spout off about how many years they've been doing it, and it is. It's not a mature product. It's an awesome thing, and it's the right thing to do, but it's in its infancy. And the products are still playing catch up, because we have all these crazy complex needs that, number one, regulatory needs in these countries like France or other places like that they have. But number two, all the stuff we've baked into our worlds of complexity that we've signed on the line for, that we have to be able to maintain, that we could do with our on-prem systems. And these new products aren't meant to be the same thing. They are meant to be a new direction, a new multi-tenant way. They are still catching up, though, to meet some of those needs that are non-negotiable. Next, the firm's implementation partners are playing catch up to build expertise. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's not as mature as these other things out there. So the folks who will help you do it, and there's a multitude of great partners that can help you do these kinds of implementation, they're playing catch up as well. And so you have to keep that in mind when you're planning, and you're setting a deadline for when you want to make your deployments and do these types of things. There has to be some sanity checking to all of it, because there's a lot of unknowns out there because of this being relatively a new thing to do. Next. Data migrations and integrations are a bitch, all right, or whatever. Insert your favorite expletive. They are, and we all knew they would be. And I know you hear a lot of these, we got standard migration tools and standard. It's tough. It's worth it, but it's tough. And once they're in place, it's great, but it's tough. It's very hard, and don't underestimate these. And frankly, I would probably double the duration that anybody recommends to you. And lastly, it's not ERP. It's not your on-premise ERP system. And I know that sounds like an obvious thing, but don't forget that, because you'll hear people say that a lot when you're trying to accomplish the things that you used to do in there. And so just keep that in mind, that it isn't that. It is a new way of thinking. It is a new way of planning and setting timelines. It's a new way of resourcing a project. It's a new way of having less control over the product. And you have to be prepared for that. But, like I said, at the end of the running of the Bulls, I was gleeful. I had a big smile on. I drank a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was so happy. This is what we're left with at the end of this implementation, which is a very simple platform. It's simple because it's not a whole strewn out mess of different players and a big spaghetti map of integration. It's simple. It's ADP and SuccessFactors, really our core partners right there to make this work. It's 100% cloud and 100% mobile. which is absolutely key. Next. One of the things I wanted to point out to me, which is a game changer for us, and neither one of these vendors have ever used that they are the yin and yang of cloud HCM. That's me. But for us, that's what we see it. These two providers, if you click next, one more, have come together with an integration that we think is a game changer because it's real time. Systems have interfaced with each other for years. These two systems, Employee Central and ADP, have already interfaced for a while. But now, and we're one of the first to do it, it's real-time mashup integration. And what's the point in that? What's the beauty in that? The beauty is that we don't have to teach these core administrators who we're kind of really dependent on, the ones that put the data into the system from the beginning and make it work. They don't have to know two different systems to do this stuff. All the data can be viewed and entered in SuccessFactors Employee Central. One system to learn. We can really ratchet it down for the opportunities for failure. And so when you make it simple like that, you make it real time, you enter it, it appears there. We think this is going to be huge for us. Next. The other result from this is it's changing what we can be as HR technologists. And I don't mean just for our scenario, but for any of us who are going fully cloud. And I can say IT nerd because I am one. I've worked in IT for several years. That's not me, but I've been that. And we've had to keep these kinds of staffs and teams in many IT functions over the years because we had to know how to code and config. And so what you had is these guys who were just trying to figure out HR, trying to communicate with HR, many of which shouldn't even have been out of behind closed doors talking to HR. And they're reacting to requests from an HR function that they don't quite understand. And so what do they do every time you ask for something? They say no, and no, and no. And if you click next, by making this change with our technology, and I know it sounds like something of the obvious, but it allows us to be different. It allows us to be true solutions consultants. And that's what I see on our team as being more of what we will be. Folks who understand the business, but understand how to also do the setup and administration within the SaaS model. They know how to drive the strategy, like I was saying earlier, and they can actually say yes. It's nice to say yes. Next. So, last couple of slides. What's on our radar? First, new mobile and mashup capabilities. There is such great technology that already exists out there. In the recent year or so that's come out, Star Mobile, Capriza, there may be some here, where literally you can reskin the top of any web ERP kind of interface that you've got that's accessible and set up mobile capabilities with no coding. It can be done in like a week. It's so simple. And you can also mash up multiple systems at once to make these really cool, sexy interfaces. And if you haven't gone mobile yet, you got to, because it's too easy now. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Mentoring, I know that's an old thing that's been around for a long time, but we're really trying to go with that collaboration side. There's tools out there now that are like Match.com meets LinkedIn, where you can really match up mentors, mentees out there, and we think that's a big deal for career growth. Performance gauges, my God, there's tons of companies up there already today who are talking about new ways to do performance, blow up performance reviews, whatever. We are looking at that to see where we go with how we gauge performance. And real-time engagement, I think trying to react to a score that's 1-year-old and 2-year-old of engagement is crap. I think it has to be a real-time engagement always, to where we're seeing a finger on the pulse of how it's working. That's the only way I think we can effectively do something more than just change a number. And lastly, enhanced analytics visualization. We've got to continually find ways to make it simple so people focus on only just a few really core pieces of data that they need to be successful. Next. My advice, take it or leave it. It's free advice, so that's about what it's worth. Click next. As I said, get mobile now. Because frankly, how many people right now have their mobile in their hand? Raise your hand. See? How many will have their mobile in their hand in the next hour? How many people will have their mobile out when they're sitting on the toilet next? The rest of you are liars. Get mobile. Like I already explained that. It's too easy and too cheap. Do it. HR is in the hands of all of you if you're mobile right now, wherever you may be sitting. Focus on team leaders. I think that's in all companies. We're going to live or die by how good we do for the team leaders. You only have a limited amount of money, resources, people, time. Focus on the team leaders. Next. I haven't talked about data as much in this one, but go deep with it, but build a foundation first. And data is not about how many data scientists that you have on your team. It's awesome. I wish I did. It's sexy. It's cool. But data scientists can't do crap if your data is bad. Get your foundation in order first and make sure you've got something people can trust before you go crazy with it. And find a way to refocus your efforts. I mean, ours we're doing by this full cloud migration because that was what we had the ability to do. We had a business case for doing it, and we think that's the right thing. It may not be what's in your cards based on many reasons, but find a way to refocus your efforts. Find a way to flip your iceberg to where you can be able to focus on what is not just the perceived value, but what is the true value to help your business. And lastly, enable your team to say yes. I know that sounds silly, but my God, that does a lot of difference. That changes everything. It gets you the respect to be out there driving the strategy of what's going on. And next slide. That's all I've got for today. Just want to say thanks. And I know it goes without saying, this is the most exciting time to be in HR technology. It's so fun. It's so cool. All these tools are great out there. And there's also never been a better time for us all to be sharing. All of us right here are trying to solve the exact same problems. Let's all just share what we know, and let's win together. Thank you.